Hello there. 11 unpopular opinions from an old crone. Let's get started. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Jody McDowell. I'm a psychic, energy worker, and a witch in no particular order. So, these 11 unpopular opinions, some of them will be more so than others, and that's okay because this is my journey and my craft, and that's the number one thing on my list. The top of all of my most unpopular opinions is there is no right or wrong way to do witchcraft. The only thing that makes it right or wrong is whether you feel it's right or wrong. And I'm not talking morality, although that's part of it. If a spell feels effective to you, if it feels like you've put your intent in a way that's going to work for you, you've cast an effective spell. Number two, the absolute only tool that you need to be magical is yourself. Everything you need is right here compacted inside of your body and your energy field. Magic is nothing other than intent. I said before, or at least I've had this conversation with numerous people, that when I first started down a more formal witchcraft path, my mentor said to me, Jody, why are you doing witchcraft? You don't need to do that. It's so much lesser than the ability you have innately inside of you. And the reason I do it is because it makes me feel sometimes like the ritual is doing more than what I can do through my intent and my meditation and my energy work alone, which that is extremely powerful. And I'm returning more and more to doing that. But I needed the experience of doing more ritualized spells. Okay, the third thing is that sympathetic magic isn't set in stone. So if the color pink doesn't represent self love to you or love at all, then don't use it. Use a color that feels like love to you. Don't go by what a book says or by what any tradition says, because if it doesn't resonate and feel right with you, it won't work. It doesn't matter if that's a particular stone or an herb, unless you're doing healing, actual healing spells where someone's ingesting, then please follow what's known more for the medicinal purposes. But for the actual association, the magical associations, whatever you assign to an object is the magical association it has, and it doesn't go beyond that. So whatever you intend it to be, that's it. Okay, my next unpopular opinion. Sorry, I've got a list here, and so I don't forget because, oh, here we go. Um, when you are casting a spell, please create your own. I know there's a lot of draw to rely on books and other spells and ideas when you're new. That's fantastic. It gives you a good foundation in how it's done, what to do. But once you start to get a little more comfortable, create your own. Create your own path, create your own spells, because just like your intention is what's going to be important, relying on your intuition of what's the right thing. So if I go to my apothecary and I pick up an herb because it feels like it's the right thing for a situation, no matter what a book says or anyone else says, it's going to be effective because my intuition is saying this is the right thing. And eventually, that's all that matters. So it all boils down, trust yourself and your own intuition, and don't let anyone tell you that your spells are wrong, ever. Next, I'm going to hit on the morality points, which are the rule of three only applies if you believe in it. I am not a love and light soft and cozy witch. I'm a gray witch at heart. I don't believe in the rule of three. I don't follow the rules of karma. I don't believe in them in the way that a lot of people do in the metaphysical and um, witchy world. I think that we've bastardized it to a majorly atrocious degree, and that's another video. Um, because really, no karma is good karma. If you want to like just boil it down to what it is, and it's pretty hard to get out of life with no karma. And so, if you think that being a love and light witch is the only way, or it's the right way, perhaps it is for you, but it's not for everyone. It doesn't make someone like me who walks a gray path and I don't go around harming people because it's fun or willy nilly because I'm having a bad day and I'm going to hex the next person who looks at me sideways. No, that's ridiculous. I'm a grown adult. But it doesn't mean that you push me far enough and I've used all of the tools in my arsenal, mundane and magical. I will make it stop. I will handle my business, keep myself, my family, my home safe. And there's no shame in that game. Light and dark magic is, I hate those terms. They're so racist. Um, but along the path, I've seen it so much recently, it's getting exhausting. But on this spectrum, just because you work with X, Y, and Z entities or styles of magic doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing good. And just because you're working on the opposite spectrum doesn't mean you're doing bad. Right hand, left hand. That's the more appropriate terminology. And sometimes what seems like hexing, cursing, doing harm is really finding justice. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Justice needs to happen, and sometimes the world isn't providing it for us. Okay, my next thing, I think I'm on number 4. Not everything requires a spell. Okay, I've come across a lot of brand new, very young witchlings, and they want a spell for everything. When 90% of what they're asking for spells for is mundane, their mundane life matters. Sure, you can cast for anything and everything. In fact, that's part of being a newer, younger witch, is the desire and the need to conjure money, love, try and impact the world. The older you get, the less you need to cast. That's kind of the Crone thing. It's kind of a stage of life. But there's also knowing the difference between I need to put my foot in the world and take action, use my voice, whatever, and I need a spell because I'm afraid to take an action. Those are two very, very, very different things. And be careful what you ask for. I see a lot of people asking for love spells and bring my wandering boyfriend back to me. Okay, is that really what you want? Because if he's wandered, the likelihood is he'll wander again. And I'm not going to debate effectiveness of skill of spells. Just if that's who they are at heart, if that's how they've treated you, why do you want that back? Unpopular opinion, right? Maybe not for some of you, but there are a lot of people out there who I see looking for spells for those sorts of things. Okay, next on my list, I think we're at number 5. The witchy aesthetic, witchy vibes. How you dress, how you look, what your house looks like, does not make you witchy or not. I live in a pink home with flowers. This is the only room in my house that doesn't have major pink in it. It's only because I just switched into this room. It was my husband's office, and now it's mine. Um, you don't have to wear black. You don't have to do anything. Being witchy is who you are. Being a witch is who you are. And yeah, it's fun to have things around that are reminiscent of our that represent us. But that aesthetic makes no difference to how witchy you are. Nothing. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. This one's going to get some of you all. You know what? Being an armchair witch is being a witch. You may not be practicing for whatever reason, but it doesn't make you not a witch. You're gaining knowledge, or perhaps you've gained all the knowledge that perhaps you've practiced for years and years and years, and now you prefer to sit back and read about it and watch videos and partake in that way. You are still engaging in the magical experience. Just being in connection with magic is magical. And that leads me to the next one, which is you don't need a daily practice. You don't. However much magic you put in your life is up to you. You don't need to work with deities. You don't need to not work with deities. You don't need to do any kind of a daily practice. If you want to, great, fine. It's not imperative. It doesn't affect how effective your magic is when you cast. The beautiful thing to me about walking a magical witch path is there are no rules. There's no one to tell me what's right and wrong, or that I have to go to church on Sunday, or that if I don't wear specific clothes, I'm not a witch, or name your other X, Y, or Z it. It's my own path, and I get to choose that 100% for myself. Okay, what is next on my list? I know, I'm probably going to get a little blowback on that one when people see and hear that. I'm not very big right now, but at some point people will hear that and it might, yeah, it might make a few people bend a couple noses out of shape. Okay, here we go. This is number 8. A coven is 100% unnecessary. More and more people are becoming solitary witches for a reason. It's not simply because there isn't access to covens and groups. There's also a desire to be more individualistic and do our own things and break all the rules. And that's okay. If you want to be part of a coven, that's okay. I have several friends that I meet with on a weekly basis. We're all witches. We walk very different paths. We cast together. We learn together. We're not a coven. We make no bones about being a coven. One of them is Wiccan, the other is Native American, and I am about neither of those in any way, shape, or form. I'm my own branch of individual witchery. And yet we come together and it works. We find common ground, even where it seems there wouldn't be any. So finding a community is helpful so that you don't feel alone. Ask questions, talk to people. But if you don't want to be part of a formal coven, that's totally fine. It's absolutely not necessary. Okay. Next on my list. You don't have to pick a path. You can. I haven't picked a formal path. I've been doing witchcraft for, I don't know, about 25 years or so, ballpark. I don't know exactly. And I'm I'm not even going to say eclectic. I'm more of like a cafeteria witch. I take what I like from this, from that. I take little pieces and snippets and I blend it all together. And that's who I am. So, like, no, I'm not just a kitchen witch, although people love to label me a kitchen witch, but I don't identify as a kitchen witch. I could be termed a green witch. I'm lots of different kinds of witch. And you don't have to pick a path. You don't have to pick a type of witchcraft. You don't have to pick a particular path. You can build your own. If you want a book to follow, so to speak, that's great. But if you're coming into this looking for more variety and just be yourself, that freedom, go for it. Because there's lots of us. There's lots and lots of us. Okay. And I think I'm nearing the end. Oh, my very last one, number 11. I don't care what anybody says about any spell that you want to cast. Positive, negative, baneful, joyful, encouraging, self-fulfilling. You cast that spell. If it feels right to you and you want to, you cast that spell. Don't let anybody tell you not to, that it's wrong. Be yourself. At the end of the day, the only one responsible for your actions is you. And if you walk a path that isn't necessarily the mainstream popular path, you're going to get a lot of blowback. However, even by their own words, someone telling you, don't let somebody tell you can't take someone's free will away. You can if you want to. You deal with the repercussions of that, but you can. And morality is just that. It's morals and ethics. We all have our own morals and ethics and values, and we act upon them in ways that work for us. I don't have to agree with yours. You don't have to agree with mine. And it's not my place to tell you what is or isn't right. And so if you want to cast a spell that feels necessary to you, or even you just want to, don't let somebody tell you not to. Just cast the spell. All right. That's enough out of me. I know. I'm redundant. I'm a chatterbox. Sorry. I'm not feeling great today. I did a whole bunch of energy work yesterday. A lot of shifting and changing, and my system is little under the weather. Makes me a little loopy. So I'm going to go have some soup and a cup of hot tea, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Have a great day. Blessed be.